Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of First Look, Final Word. A very sleepy episode, probably. Full disclosure, it is 1:36 a.m. and we're on our way back from Toronto after my first visit to Toronto International Film Festival.
And who are you?
And I'm Pete. See, it's late, so I'm not even introducing myself.
And I'm Trevor. What's going on, you festival goers?
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah. And what did we see, Trevor? I know it was the name of the episodes, but we saw the new Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, so we saw the Shrouds. And we have a few different things going on with this episode.
Yeah, it's like it's all turned around, man.
So one, Pete is driving, which is
yeah. Hold on to your hats,
it's
guys.
the first time that's happening. And we're just we're recording after we saw the movie already.
Yes, there's no first look this week.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of jam it in at the end there.
Yeah. But don't worry, guys. We're not just going to rip right into spoilers here. You can still listen, even if you probably haven't seen the Shrouds, I would imagine. But yeah.
All right, so yeah, maybe we can start with kind of the festival itself, right? You said this is your first time.
First time for me. Yeah, I know you said you'd been before. So how did I guess that's what I was interested in. Like, was this like, how did this compare to the other times you've been?
So I guess like
obviously you had better company this time, but other than that,
yeah, I just went with my wife before.
Well, I mean,
actually, I just went with my wife the first time. Second time was with my friend Tim.
Shout out to Tim.
Yeah, shout out to Tim. And yeah, I guess like each time's kind of the same. Like it's just like a lot of excitement going on in the street. Like everything's jam packed late at night on a Wednesday evening.
It's like a festival atmosphere. Well, obviously a festival atmosphere, but like a party festival, like a street festival.
So like I believe the premiere for Night Bitch was happening. So
was that what it was tonight?
Yeah, so there was like a lot of people in the street kind of crowded around. I assume trying to get a look at Amy Adams.
Maybe.
We didn't see any. We saw some stars tonight.
We did?
Not like A-listers, but we saw some stars.
Yeah.
Saw Diane Kruger.
There you go.
Saw a lot of Diane Kruger in the movie.
So a lot more than I was anticipating.
Yeah. But like it's always kind of exciting. I've only been 3 times, right, and seen 3 movies, so I'm not like a huge TIFF expert, but I always like going
more than I have.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. It's like you say, the atmosphere and just it's just something in the air when you're there, and just around all the people and you can see all the red carpets set up and photographers and all that kind of stuff. It's just like properly involved.
Yeah, I thought like I could go through a list of some of the bigger movies playing the festival this year.
Yeah, that'd be good, because I've not really actually been following it, so I don't even really know.
So the big one that kind of everyone's talking about is Saturday Night, which is the Jason Reitman movie about the start of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
And then actually they played at Telluride last month.
Okay.
Telluride's kind of like the bane of TIFF. His recent
steals all the good.
Well, like
all the good.
So very recently, like in the last like 5 or 6 years or so, like a lot of like the bigger movies that play at TIFF like sneak in a premiere at Telluride, which is like a couple weeks before TIFF.
Right.
And kind of annoying people at TIFF, because at do we say it's called the Toronto International Film Festival? Maybe for people who don't know.
Yeah. I think I said that at the top.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a professional.
It's very late.
Early, actually.
Yeah, so TIFF in the last 10, 15 years or so has got the reputation of, the movies that kind of do well at TIFF will also kind of do well in the Oscar season kind of going in.
Yeah, it is one of the big ones, right?
So usually if a movie wins the People's Choice Award at TIFF, it's basically guaranteed to get a Best Picture nomination, and very often will be the win. That's what like people can blame TIFF for Green Book winning Best Picture and stuff like that.
Not a Green Book fan, eh?
You know what? I've never seen it.
No, I don't think.
But I've seen Driving Miss Daisy, and I feel like it's.
I never saw Green Book either, but I heard it was all right.
Yeah, I've heard it's okay. But yeah, so
so rattle some off here, Trevor. What did we miss?
So I mentioned before, Night Bitch.
Yeah.
Amy Adams turning into a dog. Very interested in seeing that one.
Yeah, pretty crazy concept. So it's usually worth a look.
Yeah. There was Clear, the Luca Guadagnino movie starring Daniel Craig.
Okay.
That one got pushed back from 2023, I believe, because of the actors' strike, because no one could promote it, right? So it's technically like a 2023 movie. So in 2024, we're seeing 2 Guadagnino movies with challenges come out at the same time.
Gotcha.
Life of Chuck, which very interested in seeing that one. That's the Mike Flanagan Stephen King adaptation. That's the first Mike Flanagan movie in a while. He's mostly been doing his Netflix stuff.
Right. Is that the one with Mark Hamill in?
That's the one with Mark Hamill, yeah. So he worked with Mark Hamill on The Fall of the House of Usher, and I guess they've kept working together. So I'm very interested in that one.
Cool.
There's Conclave. That's the Edward Berger is the guy who did All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, right. Okay.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
So this one's about like it's got Ray Fiennes.
Okay.
It's all the politics going behind selecting a new pope.
I feel like there's been a lot of Pope.
It has been a lot of popes,
lately.
Yeah, like Jude Law played a young pope.
Yeah.
And then there were the 2 popes.
The Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, the Pope's Exorcist. That's right. Yeah, I've never seen it.
Neither did I. No.
Okay.
No, you know me. I don't really I don't like ghost stories. It's too scary for me. Take it up with my bus. The Pope.
There's Eden. It's a Ron Howard movie. People escaping to an island.
Oh yeah.
Sounded interesting. I'm not the biggest Ron Howard fan.
Yeah, he's not super exciting. It's a safe pair of hands. What are they escaping from?
I think it's like an
apocalyptic type thing?
No, I think it's like people like leaving the modern world behind, escaping to an island.
Oh, okay. I
guess escaping's not maybe the best word. Like,
sort of like traveling
the beach kind of like the beach kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
Leaving society.
Right.
I think that's what it's about.
Cool.
The Room Next Door, which is Pedro Almodovar's first English language feature.
Okay.
Then another big one that's playing the festival now is Megalopolis.
Right, yeah.
Which is the Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
Disaster?
It sounds like it's I mean, it looked like it as well, really, to be fair. It's like it looked like it maybe trying to do a bit too much there.
Yeah, so that one played at Cannes earlier this year, and so did the movie that we saw tonight, which is The Shrouds, right? David Cronenberg movie. So there were a lot of good options to kind of choose from.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid lineup, really. Like, wouldn't have seen any of those.
Well, like, I feel like when kind of picking a movie to go see at TIFF, and like neither of us live close to downtown Toronto, right? So it's not like we can just go whenever.
Exactly.
Kind of want to maybe pick a movie that is not going to just be in theaters the next month, right? So like
exactly.
And feel like we end up kind of going with the Cronenberg movie because it could very well be his last movie.
True.
And like he's a notorious Toronto director.
Yeah, hometown boy, right?
Filmed this movie in Toronto.
He did, yeah.
And
it's very Toronto.
Yeah, very Toronto, and he was there tonight.
He was.
He's there and did a Q&A, which
introduced the movie, did a Q&A after. Pretty cool to see him in the flesh.
In the flesh.
In the saggy flesh.
So maybe before getting into the movie itself, are you a Cronenberg fan?
I I would say I am, but I'm not like a big time fan. Like I know we'll get into it. I know you're a pretty big Cronenberg stan, whereas I'm just more like I like the hits.
We call ourselves Cronen stans.
Cronen heads, cronies. No, but I like the big hits. Like I'm a mainstream guy. I like the big ones, but yeah, I'm not like especially not of his like more recent stuff. I've not really seen. But I mean, he hasn't really done much anything recently, has he?
Well, he did Crimes of the Future 2 years ago, but before that, he was like kind of quiet for 5 years or so.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of his last 3 or 4 movies.
It's like what? So, what are the big ones for you?
I don't know. Rattle a few off, and I'll let you know.
So, like, I assume you
'Cause I always forget.
assume you love The Fly.
Well, yeah. I mean, The Fly would be the preferred, like the one that's like you. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's most people's like introduction to Cronenberg, and like, okay, that's what this is.
Yeah.
It was definitely was for me.
Well, for me in kind of discovering Cronenberg, like I had already seen The Fly and I'd already seen, I think probably The Dead Zone, and then I was kind of at an age in like my late teens or like starting to like get interested in the directors who make the movies that I
right.
like. Realizing that
who made this?
realizing that like, hey, this was made by these two movies that I like are made by the same guy, and
right. Oh, and they had a similar sort of aesthetic.
and he was honestly one of the first directors that I kind of honed in on and said like I'm gonna actually watch his entire filmography, and so
you're big into that, right?
Like, I like doing that, and like he and John Carpenter are like the two guys that I first did that with, and so they always kind of hold a special place in my heart.
That's like pretty intense choice as well. Young Trevor just jumped.
I guess I was going through something.
Carpenter and Cronenberg.
I was going through something dark, I guess.
Apparently, yeah, man.
But no, so I went through his whole filmography in order. Like,
wow, yeah, I haven't seen Dead Zone or like any of his earlier stuff.
So I'm a huge fan. Like he's honestly one of my favorites, and I honestly think like he's one of the best of all time.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think I've recommended this one before. It's like what was the episode we did recently where we were talking about our favorite sci-fi horrors?
Yeah, because I feel like we talked a bit about Cronenberg on that episode, right?
Okay, yeah, that's Alien Romulus episode. Check that one out. We talked about our favorite sci-fi horror movies, and he really lives in that genre.
Yeah, he very much does.
So I love that. And he's like he's the body horror king, undisputed.
Yeah, like did that term was that term invented just to describe Cronenberg movies?
It very well.
I feel like it might have been.
So, but no, like I in that episode I said this like Videodrome is one of my favorite movies. I think it's probably the best Canadian movie of all time, and also one of the weirdest movies of all time, which is definitely Cronenberg's thing.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen that either. I feel like I've barely seen any Cronenberg movies.
Well, I assume you've seen like some of like his like later period stuff, like History of Violence and Eastern Promises.
Yeah. I think like Eastern Promises is probably the last one of his that I remember seeing. And I do like that movie.
And then after that, like he went on like a bit of a run with Robert Pattinson. He did Maps to the Stars and Cosmopolis.
I didn't see any of those. Were they good?
Maps to the Stars was pretty good. Actually, I'd say very good. Cosmopolis is like him entering this new like super arty phase. Like I don't
just say where's that sentence going.
I don't mean to say that like derogatively necessarily, but like entering this new phase of like people speaking strangely, like they're kind of existing in like a weird parallel dimension where people don't talk normally.
Right.
So I'm sort of into, but like it's definitely a new period of his film career.
Is he right? Does he write all of his main movies?
Yeah. He's always kind of been writer director.
Has he ever directed the scripts he didn't? Right.
Now I'm not sure about the Dead Zone if he wrote that one because that's a Stephen King thing. But yeah, he's done works of like adaptations, right? Like he did Naked Lunch, which is the Burroughs adaptation. But I still think he did the screenplay for it.
Yeah, so I guess Cronenberg's a huge gap for me. Like I'd like no way my knowledge of Cronenberg or what I've seen of his sort of pales to insignificance. Like I didn't go back and go through his whole filmography or anything.
Well, it's like he's kind of like an interesting test case because Canada doesn't have like a lot of homegrown successful directors who have like stayed in Canada. Like a lot of the big ones, like you make it big and then you
go to Hollywood.
You leave and you leave permanently. Like he has left on occasion, but he kind of always comes back to Toronto. So he's kind of unique in that way. And I think it was last night on September 10th, he got like a Lifetime Achievement Award at TIFF.
Yeah, I saw that. You
said you watched that speech,
right? I saw his speech. Yeah, he mentioned he's as old as Joe Biden, which is pretty crazy. I can't believe he was still there doing a Q&A. Like,
he looked pretty good. Like
that late at night.
He started the Q&A at like 11:50 at night.
Yeah,
and I whispered to Pete, like I would have been in bed like 2 hours before that if I was his age.
Can you imagine? Oh my!
No, like he had to have gone home and taken a nap.
Like, he must have, because he did mention that he didn't stay for the movie tonight. So yeah, pop in, introduce it, then pop off, have a nap.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe they just had a couch room somewhere.
Oh, just like like in the green room in the back,
backstage couch room to lay on.
Yeah. All right. So, do we want to talk about the Shrouds? I can give a quick synopsis.
Sure. Yeah. Give us a little synopsis on it.
Inconsolable since the death of his wife, Karsh, a prominent businessman, invents a revolutionary and controversial technology that enables the living to monitor their dear departed in their shrouds. And for those who don't know, like a shroud is like something you'd wrap a dead body in.
Yeah,
basically.
Seems very like Egyptian.
Yeah. One night, multiple graves, including that of Karsh's wife, are desecrated, and he sets out to track down the perpetrators. You know, I just saw the movie. I don't know if I would describe that necessarily as the plot.
Yeah, I don't know how you describe the plot. I've just seen it too, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, and we should say, for folks who might be new to the podcast, we're going to talk a bit spoiler-free as much as possible before giving everyone a good spoiler warning.
Yeah, we'll try and tiptoe around it and talk in general terms throughout that movie and our thoughts, and then we'll dig into the meat of it. We'll give you plenty of warning, though, don't worry.
Okay, so Pete, as a Cronenberg neophyte,
nice word.
How did you like the Shrouds?
I did not like it. I did not like it at all, if I'm being honest here. A part of me was like, is it just because it's late? I
don't think it was just because you're late.
It's my brain not working, because I was a bit like, yeah, I honestly didn't really like any aspects of it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I was like, I didn't like the way it was shot mostly. I didn't like I didn't like any of the performances really. I thought the script was kind of really weak. Like some of the dialogue in this movie, I was a bit like, wow, like that seemed, it was like, I feel like maybe a lot of the time I was like, am I missing something? Like, is this like purposely like first base like dialogue that's just like trying to make a point? I don't know if it was just a lot of it went over my head or if it was just terrible.
Well, I think on the dialogue thing, I think, and I think the way that they're delivering it, they're supposed to be delivering it in the way that they're doing it.
Right. I just didn't like that.
Because they're going for a certain tone.
Right.
But I do not think that they are successful in the tone that they're going towards.
Right.
And to your point about like how it was shot, it did seem like kind of amateurish at certain points.
I don't know if it was something about the transfer or something, but it just like looked real cheap.
Well, I think that's a big thing. That's definitely an element of.
And I know it probably didn't have a huge budget, but it's not like it wasn't doing anything crazy. It was just like
So this originally was going to be funded as a Netflix show.
Oh, okay.
And then Netflix pulled funding.
Oh,
from
really?
it, so they
interesting.
had to like
Yeah, that's probably why they had like
scramble to find
20
other-
different production companies at the start of this movie.
and they had like a lot of Tesla product placement.
Oh, yeah.
in this.
It's like, hey, why don't you use your automatic drive on your new Tesla?
Yeah, I don't think the Tesla can find its way out of that garage. I'm just telling
I like
you
it. Like, it's like it's gonna crash into that post.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, look how cool the Tesla is. Not that I have any issue with that. I don't really mind, but yeah.
So on the script itself, I think that, you know, I can see what the script is going for. I don't know if it's necessarily a weak script. I think it's kind of just like a weak execution.
But like
of
there was
that
one,
script.
but like I'm pretty sure there was like a scene where there was like someone said no way, and then another character said way, and it was like unironic, and I was like, that's weird.
Well, there's
not
like,
over my head. Maybe
the movie was definitely going for laughs at certain points, which is
he even mentioned that before the movie. He said there was funny bits in it.
Yeah, like I think the movie's most successful when it's like deliberately leaning into the humor of it.
But it was like absurdist humor though. It's like really weird, which I'm not against at all.
But I'm sort of with you. Like, I don't think there's any point of the movie that I would say that this is working.
Yeah.
I
felt like I know you. I think you mentioned on the way out that I don't think we mentioned it. The main character played by Vincent Cassel or Vincent Cassel, however you say it in French.
Yeah.
Can't do a French accent. But I thought, and I know you said this was like his biggest English language in terms of dialogue role it's taken on.
I didn't say that. Diane Kruger said that.
Oh, did she? Well, you know, you, Diane Kruger, same diff.
I guess I sound like Diane Kruger.
But like, yeah, because she did say that, yeah, in the Q&A, she said that he was nervous about it. And I feel like I kind of could see that. I feel like he struggled a bit with it.
Well,
I found it a bit distracting.
Yeah, I think that he certainly is the weakest.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. I like him. I think he was just. I think he was just miscast in this.
I think he's great, and I think he's great in Eastern Promises. Like we're working with Cronenberg. Like he's a fantastic actor. He is terrible in this movie.
Yeah, it was like, wasn't it? Like that's what I mean. I was a bit like I've seen this guy act well. I like him, but it looks like he has no idea what he's doing here. And he wasn't there, we should say. He didn't make the screening, so
yeah. But maybe most of the cast was. He and Guy Pearce weren't there. I also think Guy Pearce was quite bad.
Weird, like another weirdly miscast role. It's just like, yeah, it's very odd. I thought Diane Kruger was good in it, actually.
Yeah, she was good. Like doing the absolute best that she could.
Yeah. Being like very naked for most of her scenes. So a lot of her scenes,
I was wondering if this movie was just kind of a plot to get Diane Kruger naked.
Yeah, it was like
as naked as possible.
Like, wow, okay, she's naked again, eh? She's gonna show up naked every time she pops up, is she? Okay.
And so yeah, I kind of feel bad because I'm like talking about how much I love Cronenberg and I'm a huge fan of his.
It was funny, I was wondering that because like as the movie went on, I was like, oh man, like, do I just not understand Cronenberg? Is Trevor going to tell me this is like classic Cronenberg and it's amazing?
Classic Cronenberg.
Like, oh, brilliant! Did you see that movie?
Yeah,
okay.
No, it's like I probably don't hate this movie as much as you do. Like I was enjoying the Cronenbergian.
I didn't hate it. I thought it had interesting concepts.
Yeah,
I just felt that the execution did not work for me at all. And like, I was honestly like quite bored. Like I kept waiting to get invested, and then I checked my watch and I was like, this movie's about to end, and I'm still waiting to get invested in what's going on. I feel like it never really found its feet.
It is way too long.
Yeah.
There are way too many scenes of people watching something on their phone or watching videos on their phone.
That was crazy.
Which like I guess is a budgetary thing, but it's also like it makes me think that like, maybe his heart really wasn't into this project as much as like you would think, because
that's what I found strange. It's like obviously, and they mentioned that like the producer mentioned that like he sent them the script like 5 years ago, and they really been working hard to get it made. And it's like it must have been something that he was really into to have him come out and do it. Like,
Yeah, well,
he didn't need to.
his wife passed away in 2017,
Right, so
which
it's
is
obviously
like
very personal to
it's
him,
very
right?
like they were together like since the late 70s, early 80s, right? So they were together for a very long time.
Maybe it was more of like he really wanted to make a movie about that, but then
Yeah,
like didn't really pan out.
but it almost feels like, you know, like he wanted to make a movie that kind of was exploring his grief, but that was almost like became too sensitive a subject for him, so he had to kind of like distance himself from his own project because the entire movie is kind of just like distance himself from it, like with either the humor or like the conspiratorial stuff, which it kind of goes down and like, and as I'm describing all the themes, like it sounds like a good movie. Like I really like all the themes.
I was like looking forward to it going in. I was like really I was really expecting something that would be like interesting, like and thought provoking. But yeah, like I say, I was just kind of a bit bored, sadly. Yeah, I feel like we're just ragging on it a bit, but I don't know.
So the elements that I do like, there is some.
Yeah, give us some positives here, Trevor. I feel like I just shit all over it.
There is some very good body horror in it. So
yeah.
There's some like really interesting surrealist imagery.
I tell you what,
dream sequences.
Without spoiling it, that opening shot, I was like, okay, like I'm in for this. Like the way it opens, I was like, okay, this is.
I wish it was more stuff like that.
Yeah, and then that just kind of fell away, and that was like the most like interesting thing that happened in the movie. It was the first shot. I think that's what it was. Like I was waiting to get back into something like that, visceral and like crazy, and it just kind of didn't. Some more meandered along.
Yeah,
maybe that was what it was. It set my expectations too high with that opening scene.
Well, so I should say that like this movie really owes a lot to Videodrome. Like I think I think of all of like his older movies, that one's probably like in conversation with this one the most. So I'd say go ahead and like watch that one. It is really good at exploring some of these same themes, like over reliance on technology. This movie is very much born out of like, you know, we are way too online all the time. But again, like it's not necessarily executing on those themes well. The script is really exploring, you know, people kind of going down rabbit holes into online conspiracies and kind of not knowing where the truth is and stuff. But
which I'm not against, but I think for me, I just felt confused, like, which may have been the point. And we'll get into it when we get to spoilers, but like by the time the movie ended, I was a bit like, I don't really know what the hell happened in that movie, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, like I agree with you that I think that being confused was certainly the point.
Purposely ambiguous, right?
But you know, I've seen plenty of movies before where I think like the characters are supposed to be confused as to what's going on.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But this movie doesn't feel in control of that. Yeah. So the characters don't know what's going on. The audience is not sure what's going on, and I'm not sure that, you know, the filmmakers behind this movie kind of.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting them to sort of not like explain it like I'm vibing it, but like wrap it up in a way at the end in a way that made it clear what I was supposed to feel about things or take away from it. But I just kind of felt like it didn't really do that. It kind of just ended, and I was a bit like, oh, okay, I guess I just have to figure it out in my own headcanon what really happened.
Yeah, and I think like just being that wouldn't necessarily be a fault of the movie. I think
some
like
movies can do that well.
It just didn't pull it off.
No,
the thing,
no.
Like it's supposed to end like as a bit of a ponder, but it really doesn't. Like the movie sort of just ends.
Yeah. It was really odd, right?
It's very arbitrary,
very abrupt, and like
it just ended.
It's like a different movie got tacked onto the last 15 minutes or something.
So his last movie that came out 2 years ago, Crimes of the Future, which is like which borrows a title from his student film.
Oh,
Crimes of the
really?
Future, but like the plots are very different.
Okay.
And actually, like I'm such a big Cronenberg fan that I've watched his student
I
film,
was gonna say you've seen that, haven't you?
which has no sound to it.
Very
And
nice.
it's like it's not like a particularly good student film, but it's
wow, that's saying a lot.
But it's interesting.
That's saying a lot. Not a very good student film.
You know what? It's not like I've seen a lot of student films. Like
they're usually bad.
I've watched the ones that are like that are either like good enough that like they would have broken out into the mainstream, or like are just from directors that I love so much that I'm just like kind of curious as to what their early stages were like. But anyways, the new movie Crimes of the Future that came out 2 years ago, I think suffered from a lot of these same problems.
Oh, really?
That like it has like you can tell it's someone who, maybe a better way to describe it is like it seems like it's someone who's trying to do a Cronenberg movie, but is kind of just like riffing off of his style, but can't quite capture it.
We need some sound bites that we can throw on YouTube, Trevor. Has Cronenberg lost it?
I don't want to give that sound bite because I honestly like like his body of work
beat up
so
on your
much.
Hero.
He's not my hero or anything.
That kind of I feel like that's it's really tough though when you really love like in this case like a director's work, and then you see him like not being able to achieve it.
Yeah, well, like the thing is, like he is the same age as Joe Biden, right? And
I mean, he's old. He's a very old man.
At a certain point, like people can like lose their creative like juices, and like maybe that's not fair to say because you'd see this movie and you'd say like, oh, like there's a lot of creativity here, but like there doesn't seem to be a firm grip on the craft of filmmaking.
Yeah,
which is. Unfortunately, it happens to a lot of people in their older age. They lose it. Like, not everyone's like a Scorsese. You can still do it
exactly
in his 80s.
His son is directed now, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, his son and his daughter came out with a movie this year too.
Oh wow! So maybe the legacy will continue in that way.
Yeah. So I haven't seen Brandon's latest movie. I think it came out this year, or maybe it's coming out next year. But I've said before that I'm a fan of his movie Possessor from 2020.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of I think his daughter's name is Caitlin Cronenberg. She had a movie come out earlier this year. It kind of got a bit panned, but it's still it's sort of just her first movie or whatever. So
that's it. She's done then.
Yeah,
being a female director.
Yeah,
that was her one shot. Nepotism be damned.
Yeah, that's it's probably accurate. Like that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's kind of just it's unfortunate to see like just kind of losing a step, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people liked Crimes of the Future.
Oh yeah,
because like there still is a budget behind it, so like there's a lot of like interesting imagery.
Right.
I just feel like people in that movie are talking in a very similar way to how they're talking in this movie. So like it's going for a very deliberate tone.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not landing on the tone.
No, it's not working for me at all.
Like, it's sort of like going for like a Yorgos Lanthimos thing where people are like talking very like dreamlike and monotone and deliberate.
Right.
But kind of all of my criticisms of that movie are kind of like doubled for this one because it's like all that plus like kind of worse, and there's no budget to this movie. It looks incredibly
so it's like
cheap.
A deliberate choice that he's making to have it be this way, and they even said that in the Q&A as well. It's like he's very much like say it as it is on the page, do it as it is on the page. It's very specific, so he's definitely going for that tone, right? Going for that.
But I would say not successful, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, this might be the first movie we've done on the podcast that we both pretty much didn't really like, which I was not expecting from a Nick Cronenberg movie.
So you just thought I would be in the bag for it?
Well, I was unsure because I didn't know if if you would just be like into that as being like as terms of the style and whatnot.
You know what? I am so in the bag for this guy. Like I would be the first person to say it worked for me if it even remotely
You know
worked
what?
for
It was
me.
actually pretty good. I'm going to tie myself up in knots to explain why.
Yeah, I would like it'd almost be a better episode.
It really would.
If
I'd be like,
if I came in here saying that
again.
this is a good movie.
I'm like, huh? Okay. Yeah. I felt kind of bad when they all came out at the end to do the Q&A, and I was a bit like, oh, guys, good try.
Yeah, and like
because that's what always makes me feel bad. Because like they had so many people at the start, all the producers, like the costume designer, the casting director, all these people, all the cast, well, a lot of the cast, Cronenberg himself, and they're all like, we worked very hard for 5 years to make this movie, and then at the end, I'm like, oh man, I feel like you guys wasted your time a little bit.
It's got to be a bit of a disappointment, yeah.
Yeah, because no one sets out to make a bad movie, right?
Yeah, well, Diane Kruger said something very interesting in the Q&A in that Cronenberg never gave her a single acting direction.
Right. Or did any rehearsals whatsoever.
Yeah. Which, like, makes me think, like, did they have, like, 2 weeks to film this or something? And, like, they just had to kind of, like, rush it out? Because I almost kind of want to believe that that's what would happen.
Maybe, right? Like,
so... Maybe before we go into spoilers, I want to say one really positive thing. I think the shroud itself looked incredibly good.
It looked pretty cool.
I think whoever was the costume designer should get a lot of credit because I thought it looked really great.
And she also should get credit for the amazing hat she was wearing tonight.
She was wearing a great hat. We both said it was a great hat.
Amazing statement hat she had on.
Yeah. Not a lot of people can pull that hat off either.
No, not at all.
All right, so we will hop into spoilers with a few minutes left. If you don't want the plot of the Shrouds spoiled for you, maybe hop off now. But shoot us an email sometime at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. Love to hear from you guys. Other Cronenberg stands out there.
Yeah, tell us what your favorite Cronenberg movie is. Yeah. Let us know.
I'd say still, if you love Cronenberg, still see this movie, as I think his DNA is still very much hardwired into there. You can enjoy it from like an auteur perspective. I think a general audience, I would not recommend this to people to watch.
Well, support Canadian cinema.
Support Canadian cinema.
Yeah, shits.
Sure.
That's how you get people on board, right? Just call them names.
All right.
There was even a Tim Hortons product placement in there. Did you clock that?
No, I didn't.
There was one scene where Vincent Cassel was drinking coffee and it was a Tim Hortons cup. And I was like, respect, they're definitely in Toronto.
Okay, sure. Well, yeah, this was a very Toronto movie. There at one point
look, it's the CN Tower.
Well, at one point they were eating in a restaurant that is on King Street where we were seeing the movie.
Really?
It was a little surreal in that regard.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of that where I was like, that parking lot looks a bit like a parking lot I know.
It's like, I for sure have driven past there before.
Right?
And sometimes it's kind of refreshing to see because Toronto's in a lot of movies, but it's usually like doubling as Chicago or New York, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Fair play to it.
All right, well, let's jump into spoilers here.
Yeah, so you've been warned, guys. So from this point forward, we will be spoiling in great detail multiple plot points, including third act reveals and the ending of the Shroud. So you've been warned. Leave now or forever hold your peace.
So where do you want to start with this one?
I don't know. Can you explain to me what the fuck happened in that movie? Because I don't really know.
So...
are you not supposed to know, or you're not so unclear to me.
There's no way that there is an explanation for exactly what is supposed to be the truth,
right?
For this, there's there's potentially a corpse buried in his burial plot, and he says, "Well, it's so much red tape to dig this up. There's no way we can do this."
Yeah, no, and also how much red tape do you need? Because apparently you buried the bodies 2 feet below the surface. When they showed them digging up the grave, I was like, that is not a regulation, dude. That is literally 2 feet. Not even. Like, talk about, that's why it's like, that stuff like that. I was like, you didn't even have the budget just to get someone to dig a 6-foot hole. Like, it can't cost that much money.
Yeah.
Or just didn't have the time, I guess. I don't know. Seems like an odd choice.
I'll tell you, during the opening of this movie, I thought the opening scene was interesting.
Yeah, it got me hooked right away. I was like, oh, this is
like
kind of weird.
I immediately was bumping up against the CGI dead bodies a little bit. I'm like,
that's true.
Because Cronenberg is always great at using practical effects.
Right, yeah.
Always worked with great makeup and practical effects artists.
They kind of spoke to that when because he kind of, and this is, I didn't really understand how this technology was supposed to work, because when he first started talking about it, he talked about a 3D generated model.
Yeah.
Versus like camera feed, right? So that's why in my mind I was like, okay, so it is supposed to be sort of
it's supposed to be like a 3D ultrasound.
Yeah, it's supposed to be generated image. It's not supposed to be like a real-time feed. So that maybe that kind of explained away it to me. But yeah, to your point, in that opening scene, that was a bit like, oh, that looks a bit video game cutscene-y.
Wouldn't it be like this movie would have been a great opportunity, and probably budget is the answer for doing some real gory practical dead body stuff. Yeah, it didn't do that at all.
Go that route at all.
But just like the opening where he's at the dentist and the dentist says your teeth are decaying because of grief. That's a very interesting scene. I'm invested in this movie.
Yeah.
The next scene is he's on a blind date and he's taking her to a restaurant that he owns in a cemetery. I'm like, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, very odd.
It's an interesting idea, but the dialogue between those two actors,
it was very
odd.
That
whole thing, I'm just like, oh, I'm a little worried about this.
I
like kind of the weird absurdness of what's happening, but I don't like how it's being delivered right now.
And that all the characters were like that as well, just very absurd and doing weird things, but not in a way that was super interesting or engaging. It was just why are they being odd? They're doing odd things in an odd situation in a very odd way. That's this is the bit that was just too much oddness all wrapped up together.
Yeah, but I guess you said it well. It just wasn't interesting oddness. They just had to just
it's weird for the sake of being weird, which is not always the worst. But yeah, I don't know. It just did not work.
Yeah, and then we get into the issue of all these tombstones were desecrated, right? And that's revealed in the lamest POV video shot.
Yeah, that was really weird.
And then they said, well, maybe we've been hacked, or maybe just the servers are overloaded. And I'm like, I can see they're purposely just trying to do mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
But it also kind of just sounds like an 80-year-old man trying to do his best to sound like it's high-tech stuff.
For me, that was the very beginning, right when that happened.
Yeah.
And the movie was over 2 hours long, right? And they never really moved.
I think it was an hour, 19 minutes, just shy of 2 hours.
Okay, so long enough. But but they never really moved on from that. I thought that was going to be the start of a unfolding story, but it was no, this is the entire story. Is that this something happened to these gravestones?
Yeah. And then he works with his ex-brother-in-law, and then maybe his brother-in-law is the one who's hacked into these tombstone servers, or maybe it's the Chinese, or maybe it's the Russians, or maybe it's someone from Iceland who's and I can see he's trying to explore all the conspiracy theory stuff, and all the dangers of being online too much, and our privacy being compromised.
Yeah, I think
AI and stuff, but it just ends up being a bit of a mess.
I think I would have liked more is if they'd played Vincent Cassel's character a little bit straighter. It needed somebody I could get behind, because it was every character was just crazy.
Well, he was being shticky the whole movie, right? He was doing bits basically.
None of the characters resemble real people in any way. I didn't think. They were just very odd and doing strange things, and like you say, sticky things, and just like
Well,
very odd
I
behavior.
like the movie described the protagonist, who we should say Vincent Cassel is styled to look exactly like David Cronenberg
Yes,
in this
it's
movie.
basically him, right?
And he's supposed to be inconsolable in his grief, and never once does he seem like he's
Sad,
like
that's
grieving
all.
at all.
No, just seems like he's an insane person.
Like he's kind of just going around going like, "Hey, yeah, my wife died. Isn't that interesting?"
Yeah, like yeah,
Which,
it's like when I watch her in a grave, it makes me feel better.
It's probably how David Cronenberg approaches grief,
yeah,
because
maybe,
he's
right?
a weird guy.
Yeah. Yep.
But like just the core idea of the movie is like that, you know, you miss someone so much that you want to just like put a camera in their grave and watch them decompose. I think is an interesting idea.
Now, that is an interesting concept, but the characters were just so weird, and that's what I mean. I feel like I couldn't connect with anybody. So even the concepts that are interesting, I'm like, well, they're just being weird about it, though.
Like, and I find the idea of like, you know, the doctors like performing experimental surgeries on her, which like kind of just like deformed her and made her more sick.
Yeah,
also interesting ideas.
It wasn't super clear what that was, though. Like I never really understood what they were talking about. Like it was like, oh, they put these things on her body, and they're like, oh, it's like trackers, or it's this, or it's that, or and like I never really understood what it was supposed to be, or what it was even supposed to potentially be.
Those things
are like, oh, they're just like growths on her bones.
Those things are animations.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
What, you actually believe those are animations? That guy played you for a fool.
Yeah, like I don't understand what's happening. That was like my reaction to the majority of the movie. And then at the end, I was just like, what now, huh? Like he's with the blind character now, I did not believe that for 1 minute was blind. And also, I did not believe for 1 minute that was an actual CNI dog. It was just like a regular random dog that they put in a vest.
And Pete calling out the dog acting in this movie.
Well, I mean,
it was
get a dog that couldn't pretend to be a CNI dog. It can't be that. Just get a CNI dog.
Yeah.
Like even in the context of the movie, it didn't even seem to be doing anything that was helpful. It was like trying to run off in the dog park. It's like I don't
really know why that character existed. I think she's probably the second best performance in the movie.
Yeah, she was good, right? But that's the thing. It's like, what's the point of this character?
Yeah,
there was no point in that character at all. And like the sister character was just like so weird. It's like, oh, I'm a dog groomer for reasons, and I'm weird, and then like conspiracies get me.
Yeah, so there was
what is going on?
There was some theme about dogs that escaped me.
That's what I mean. I felt like a lot of it was just going over my head. I was like, I feel like I'm missing the point here. I feel like it's saying something and I don't understand it. Like even the thing with Guy Pearce's character is fingers. Because I noticed that in the scene where he was doing stuff on his computer while he goes to bed.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, why is he typing so weird? Because he was typing with just 3 fingers.
Right.
And I was like, that's a weird way to type. And then I was like, oh, he's like something's up with his fingers. And so it's like, obviously purposely did that.
Yeah.
But like, why? You need to. It didn't make any sense. It came up later on. Did he fake that he's got his fingers cut off? Or did he? I don't know. I'm so confused.
Well, like in like deformities is a theme that Cronenberg returns to a lot in his movies.
There's a lot of it in this one.
Like there are multiple instances of him weaving that theme into the narrative of his movies much better. Like Crash, for instance, does it much better. Videodrome does it much better. The Fly is kind of like a masterpiece in like your body just deforming.
Yeah.
This one, like, I don't like. I can see the part on, his wife. You're watching someone die slowly, and like it's like you're watching pieces of them disappearing, right? Why Guy Pearce doesn't have 2 fingers, I don't know.
Yeah, what I don't know what Guy Pearce is doing for the majority of this movie, I don't know.
I think they probably had him for like 2 days or something, right? He doesn't get enough work. Like he's a good actor.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's lots of good actors in this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Diane Kruger is a fantastic actor. Some of the scenes, like the dialogue is just bad, right? Like, so it's not her fault at all. And I feel really bad that she was like this naked and this sexualized in a movie that was not good.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, man, you really got him out for an entire movie and probably didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
She looked good though.
Yeah.
Not to be a weird perv or anything.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like, want it if you've got it, I suppose.
Yeah. Maybe it's her idea. Like, give her some agency.
You know what?
Here we go.
I get old. Like, let's have it.
Yeah, let's document this. Well, I guess we're kind of winding down here.
Yeah, we've reached our destination here, guys. So, not a shorter than usual episode, but you know, at least you got to hear us rag on a movie, which we don't normally do.
Yeah, I'm sorry, David. I really like your stuff.
We know you listen.
Yeah.
Please don't unsubscribe.
Yeah.
We did tell people to support the movie. Don't forget.
Yeah, support the movie, but you don't have to watch it.
I just buy a ticket and don't show up. Or stream it on Crave or whatever it's going to be on. It was like produced in partnership with Crave, right? Did I get that right? Like Crave, the streaming service?
Yes.
That's a specifically Canadian thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they've done a few
but like I don't think
content.
There's no don't have Crave in North America in the US, do they?
No, like it's owned by Bell.
Right. That's like interesting. Because they get a lot of like the HBO stuff right over here.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting into very specific Canadian stuff.
Crave is like our HBO Max for our American listeners.
Yeah.
It's probably like
I've seen a Crave produced movie.
It is like I have Crave. It's the worst technology platform, but like it has like all the good content in Canada.
I think they just put all their money into getting the content and not worry about the UI.
They obviously they have great business people who know how to get licensing deals, and they've put no money into the technology.
No money left for our app.
It's like they did not have like anything higher than 720p up to like 2 years ago.
No way. That's insane.
It was like atrocious. And now they have like 4K for like some content, but it's pretty rare that they have it
for like a big streaming service like that.
It's pretty embarrassing. Like so, like all like the HBO shows were all in like 720.
Brutal.
It's like I remember watching like the last season of Game of Thrones, which people already complained was like
this
way
too
dark. It's like it looked just terrible on Crave. So shout out to Crave. Yeah, our sponsor of this week is it's Crave.
Oh no. Get everyone subscribe to Crave, guys. Yeah. It's amazing.
All right, well, I guess that's a bit better for us. Let us know what you guys think of the Shrouds. I don't know if anyone listening has seen it.
Or will see it.
Or we'll see it, yeah.
But give it a go. You know, maybe we're wrong. Maybe you'll watch it and be like, you guys missed the whole point. You were just tired, I guess.
I saw some positive reviews on Letterboxd. I'm very interested to look at it.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Maybe
that's the thing, like I feel like
we just missed the whole point.
I feel like you could watch this movie and say, like, that is an interesting theme. I like this movie because it's exploring that theme. I think that's a wrong opinion to have because I think you're not really viewing the movie as like a product, right?
You can't review a concept
just because the movie. Like there are many interesting ideas in this. Like Cronenberg is a guy of interesting ideas, but
I would have loved to see it expanded more.
Yeah, I would challenge anyone who says this is a good movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not, sadly.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's about it for us, right?
Yeah, thanks guys, and we'll see you on the next one, and until then, that's the final word.